Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition. Here are the top stories. The Army's total commitment to the service of the nation. Commemoration of the 43rd anniversary of the Armed Forces creation in Djibouti. For the international news, Marshal Haftar agrees on a ceasefire from Monday. Hello, welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. Following the case of the former Lieutenant Mr. Fouad Yusuf Ali, the Ministry of Defense has given an interview to the RTD in order to clarify the right info of the case. Let's listen to Dine Musa for more details.
Defense Minister Hassan Umar made a clarification to inform the public opinion of the case of Mr. Fouad, who is a military man, perpetrator of a serious act in his name against the security of the state. Wrongly, some competitors represent him as a hero in social networks, but the real heroes are in front of us. They are Chief Warrant Officer Mahmoud Sugay and Chief Sergeant Khadir Sumbul Ali. These are the true heroes of the Republic of Djibouti. Two heroes who fought against Eritrea and escaped. As for Mr. Fouad, he is the author of an attempt to hijack a military plane to go towards Eritrea, an enemy country. We are not going to disclose the details, since the case is in the hands of the judicial authorities. By the will of God, Mr. Fouad's attempt to hijack the plane failed. Subsequently, he fled to Ethiopia, a friendly country with which we have good relations in many areas. Thanks to the cooperation of the Ethiopian judicial authorities, we brought him back to Djibouti. The Ministry of Defense lodged a complaint against Mr. Fouad and an investigation was launched. Mr. Fouad is not a hero, contrary to what is said in social networks. We regard him as a traitor to the homeland who tried to hijack a military plane to an enemy country, Eritrea. The minister has said that our people must have credible and accurate information about Mr. Fouad's case, contrary to the false information on social networks. If by misfortune Mr. Fouad has committed such an act in another African country, he would not be in the current situation where he lives in Djibouti because our country has rights where justice reigns. Some people claim that there is a discomfort within the army, but these are all misinformation spread by the enemies of peace, of the national harmony that exists in Djibouti. All of our country's defense and security forces are the key guarantors of the country's security and stability. They support the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, and renewed their confidence in the President on the occasion of the country's 43rd anniversary. A person claiming to be a soldier, Mustafa Aden Shari, who considers as Mr. Fouad's support. This is completely false since Mr. Fouad was disbanded from the National Army on March 9, 2020. So how can he claim to leave the army in June 2020 when he was disbanded in March 2020? For us, this is, ladies and gentlemen, a disaster. The ministry advised the Djiboutian people not to pay attention to the false social networks conveyed by people who are against peace, unity, and equality that reign in our country. The security and defense forces are mobilized to defend security and stability in our country. Our country lives in peace thanks to the political vision of our President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. We will defend our country from all enemies. And finally, the minister congratulated the country's security and defense forces for their commitment to serving the nation.
It was Hassan Umar Mohammed for clarifying, the Ministry of Defense, for clarifying the case of Mr. Fouad Yusuf Ali. And we have now collected testimonies of two soldiers who were taken prisoner by Eritrean forces during the 2008 clashes. They are Chief Surgeon Khadir Sumbul Ali, who escaped in 2012 from the camp where he was detained in Eritrea and who traveled and wandered 300 kilometers and 12 days across most of the Horn of Africa before returning home. And Warrant Officer Mahmoud Hildid Sugay, who was released in 2016 after 8 long and difficult years of detention. They all recount the ordeal of their detention and the odious and inhuman treatment they suffered at the hands of Eritrean and their lack of faith and scruples. They tell us here that they recently learned of the treasonous acts committed by one of their compatriots and the popular support he may have received. These two brave and courageous soldiers urged the people of Djibouti to preserve peace and national harmony at all costs, and that turning their backs on them will be synonymous with self-destruction and economic recovery. Now, Army Day was yesterday all over the country. You were able to follow the parade of armies in Djibouti City, the celebration of the 43rd anniversary of the armed forces in the 5th region of the country, a colorful anniversary to celebrate the creation of the first institution of the country on June 6, 1977, 21 days before the proclamation of national sovereignty. On this occasion, the head of state, Mr. Ismail Margele, sent a message of congratulations to all the armed forces. Here is what happened on June 6th in the region. Started with the city of Unity, Dikil. As is customary, the Dikil RIAD Joint Regiment celebrated the 43rd anniversary of the ADF with joy at sunrise on 6 June. From the first light of the sun, RIAD Corps Chief Colonel Idris Omar Aleh first proceeded to raise the color in the presence of the guests. Among the guests were the prefect of Dikil, the president of the regional council, local elected officials, and civil society. Another region now, the 43rd anniversary of the FAD BIAAS military camp under the command of Colonel Abdul Wasi bin Mohammed. Colonel Abdul Wasi bin Mohammed carried out the traditional review of the troops of the different FAD corps based in the chief town of the region, the city of Al Sabih. This celebration was also attended by the prefect of the region, the vice president of the regional council, the deputy of the region, as well as local and national elected officials and the heads of the local police and gendarmerie detachments. State officials, personality from all sides of the prefecture, and many other individuals from civil society took part in this event. After the passage and the military salute in front of the soldier of the various corps, the Colonel Abdul Wasi bin Mohammed read in a solemn tone of a long speech by the commander of the general staff of the armies. Then a military parade on a passage marked with the national colors followed. After this moment of recollection, the military parade led by the commander took place. Then the prefect of the region, Colonel Abdul Wasi bin Mohammed, laid a wreath of flowers at the monuments of martyrs erected on a place of the barracks. Still, the celebration of the 43rd anniversary of the armed forces in Tajura City, in Tajura City region. 43rd anniversary of the Egyptian armed forces was celebrated in large numbers in the military barracks of Tajura in a ceremony led by Colonel Ali Shehem, head of the GIAT Corps. Early in the morning, the GIAT elements in uniform were positioned to celebrate with dignity the 43rd Army framed by the GIAT officers. Upon his arrival at the site, Colonel Ali Shehem was greeted by the GIAT officers and reviewed the troops, followed by the honoring of the flag. Still on the same context, the celebration of the 43rd anniversary of the Armed Forces in Arta now, as in the other region, the 43rd anniversary of Jewish Armed Forces was celebrated large in the military barracks in Arta also. A ceremony led by Colonel Ibrahim Ali Farah, head of the regimental corps. The elements of the uniformed arms were positioned to celebrate with dignity the 43rd Army, framed by the officer of the regiment. On his arrival at the site, Colonel Ibrahim Ali Farah was welcomed by the regimental officer again and reviewed the troop, followed by the honoring of the flag.
اللهم اغفر لشهدائنا وشهداء المسلمين اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم وأكرم نزلهم الفاتحة لهم.
Minister of Health of today, Sunday 7th. More details with Dini Musa.
Point de presse sur la situation de Covid-19 à Djibouti.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Bonaita Turab, gave us the daily press briefing of Sunday, 7 June 2020. The data of COVID-19 epidemic is as follows. 439 tests performed, of which 38 were found COVID-19 positive, 62 cases cured, and 2 new deaths. And as for the global balance sheet, it declines as follows. 35,604 tests were performed, 4,207 COVID-19 positive, 1,877 cases were confirmed cured, 28 deaths in total. We urge the population to stay alert and protect yourself and others.
Following the death of the late Musa Ahmed Idris, one of the leading figures of the national political landscape, who died last Friday in Djibouti, August Mustafa Mohammed Ibrahim, spiritual leader of the ISA, sends his most saddened condolences to the family members and relatives and friends of the deceased, and to the entire Djiboutian nation, mourning the passion of one of its most illustrious political figures. He prays to the merciful Allah to grant him peace to his soul and welcome him to his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raj'un. Following now the date of moving now to the international news, in Egypt proposes a new plan for Libya. Marshal Haftar agrees to a ceasefire in this report with Dini Musa again.
Discussions on Saturday in Cairo with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Eastern Libyan strongman Marshal Haftar supported a ceasefire for Monday in the conflict between him and government forces. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday 6 June presented a new peace initiative for Libya, proposing, alongside Marshal Khalifa Haftar, who controls the east of the country, the creation of an elected council and the establishment of a ceasefire from Monday 8 June. Presented after the failure of an offensive by Marshal Haftar on Tripoli, the plan also includes a call for negotiations in Geneva and the withdrawal of all foreign fighters from Libya, added Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, also accompanied by the Speaker of the East Libyan Parliament, Anglais Saleh. In the conflict between him and government forces, the East Libyan strongmen supported a ceasefire from Monday.
This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful night.